Zoom going live to Substack. Okay. Okay. Hey, it worked. Oh, yay. What's happening here? Oh, aloha. Thank you for joining, loves. Oh, you guys are sweet. Thank you. Okay. Is my video right? Yes. Woohoo. Ah, aloha. And welcome to A Course in Miracles deep dive with Hope Johnson, coming to you from Lake Whatcom, Washington. Woo! Yeah, thank you for joining. So today we are going into the last two sentences in chapter 3, paragraph 7 in A Course in Miracles, complete and annotated edition, came out in 2021. That is on page 110. Yay. And before we get into that, let's just tune in. I just want to express so much gratitude, more gratitude than can be expressed for this gentle walking us back home to the truth of who we are. Always showing us that nothing of this world can satisfy what God's love is for us. Showing us that we only want things in the world because of a desire for God. Showing us how to be released so we could be free, so those desires can show us the way. And thank you for repeatedly being here for us. Thank you for always being available whenever our minds are open to receiving your guidance, Jesus. We feel your love. We're grateful for our brothers. We're grateful for this joining. Let's begin. Ah, I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, so last week we covered paragraph 7. And the last sentence we had in paragraph 7 was sentence 4. Time is under my direction. This is Jesus speaking here. But timelessness belongs to God alone. I just wanted to give a final reflection on that last sentence that we covered last week from chapter 3, part 2, paragraph 7, sentence 4, where Jesus said, time is under my direction, but timelessness belongs to God alone. So what I notice as a student who has studied A Course in Miracles, there's a tendency to feel this enormous pressure, right? You may even perceive that pressure coming from me sometimes. This pressure to get to timelessness, to reach God, right? To complete the atonement, to completely purify your mind, to finish this curriculum. See, the ego takes this spiritual aspiration and makes it like a project, like something you can achieve, like you can prove something, you can arrive at something. Just notice, the more you notice thoughts, the more you see these kinds of scenarios just like automatically registering, like playing out. And when you see them, they just dissolve. You know, you could just smile at them. But that's why we were talking about the unwatched mind so much in chapter 2, so that he's getting you to see what thoughts are coming up, what they are trying to manipulate, what kind of strategies are being played. And when you see those strategies, they just fall apart under your your awareness, under your attention, seeing that they're meaningless, seeing that they're not getting you anything you want. In fact, it's the opposite. So part of why it feels real comforting to me is that, when Jesus is saying time is under his direction, to me, it's like, I don't need to navigate anything. The path, my path through time is already managed by Jesus. That's great. I mean, what's left for me to do except relax into that, rest into that, right? I don't have to figure out the sequence. There is really no past or future. There's only now. I don't have to try to orchestrate which lessons I think I need or determine the pace that I'm gonna see. All I need is willingness. The direction is up to Jesus. Time is under his direction. Jeez, it's great. And then the second part, timelessness belongs to God alone. So you're not able to earn it or produce it. You can't accumulate enough knowledge to get to timelessness. It's going to be given when the mind is ready, and the giving is God's alone, it says. The readiness for the giving is yours. We went over readiness earlier. And there's more of that to come. So, sentence 4, time is under Jesus's direction. Timelessness belongs to God alone. And we did a full deep dive into that one last week. But if anyone has any questions and you're on live with me right now on Substack or Zoom, feel free to type it in. If anyone wants to talk with me, feel free to raise your hand. That's on Zoom. You can do that. All right. Let's move on to paragraph 7, sentence 5. In time, we exist for and with each other. Now remember, keep in mind, these are Jesus's words. In time, we, meaning him included, exist for and with each other. So he's talking about in time. Now look at sentence 3 was about 2 orders of reality, time and timelessness, right? And in sentence 4, authority over time was assigned to Jesus. We saw that, right? And now he's saying in time, we exist for and with each other. So we're moving from this cosmic structure to this lived experience in time. That's a lived experience, right? So here we're translating this abstraction, what looks abstract cosmic structure with these 2 orders of reality, and it's translating it into a relational reality. What does life in time actually look like? Here's what it looks like. In time, we exist for and with each other. So you can feel the warmth in that sentence, of course. right? It's very simple. There's not a bunch of metaphysical language here, not theology, nothing too technical, no technical vocabulary. Look at this one. It's just so simple. In time, we exist for and with each other. So it's like we're given this architecture, you could say here. We start out with be of one mind, do this in remembrance of me. The two statements are not the same order of reality. One involves time awareness, right? Time is under Jesus's direction. Timelessness belongs to God alone. And then he talks about practically what it's like in time. We exist for and with each other. So this is, recognizing in time, he's basically saying we are in time. We're still in the dream. We're in the classroom. We're in the corrective process, right? Maybe you already know what the corrective process looks like and you don't need to have a classroom. You just work the corrective process all the time. But this sentence is rejecting premature, transcending the dream. What would be called spiritual bypassing, right? He's saying we are in time. He's saying in time we exist for and with each other. And time is under Jesus's direction. So it's both under his direction and he exists in time. But this is describing life inside of the time that he directs. So in time, we have a relational function. Right? In timelessness, it's different. It's divine coexistence. But in time, we have this relational function, which is an expression of the truth of coexistence, that we exist for and with each other. So who is included in this we? Jesus, you, all minds, entire sonship, all. This is total we. There's not anyone else. So, he's saying he's inside time with us and he's also directing time. So he's both. Of course, none of us are really in time, but we have made a very strong illusion that we are, which we believe, even if we just believe it unconsciously, otherwise we wouldn't be able to perceive it. He's not just observing from the outside, he's actually helping inside of the timeline, within, upon, however you look at it. He's completed the atonement in time, but he didn't withdraw from time. He's active with us. He's present. He's always available. Can always call on Jesus for help. So back to sentence 4, time is under my direction, but timelessness belongs to God alone. So that part, it's like it reframes what this is. It's not isolation. You're not alone. You're doing it with Jesus. What are you doing? The atonement. What is the atonement? Recognizing that the separation never happened. That's the recognition that the separation never happened. And apparently it's a process. There seems to be separation and a recognition that there is no separation. We exist for and with each other. For and with. Exist for and with. See, 2 dimensions of relationship. 4 is purpose. They're not accidental. Relationships are not accidental. They're not mistakes. They're never mistakes. All encounters, all relational encounters are assigned within this plan. Every interaction has healing potential. So you exist. What is this? You exist for each other. You exist for their healing. And they exist for your healing too. You exist for their healing. You exist for shared awakening and miracles, giving, receiving, right? This 4 it's mutual, it's reciprocal, simultaneous. And then what does he mean by with? With, well, presence, companionship, sharing, not merely transactional or functional, relational, experiential, with each other, togetherness, joined minds. Right? Not merged into each other, but not separate either. And why both of these are so awesome together, because 4, it would be, if we only existed for each other, that would feel kind of like duty, like something, maybe there's some kind of hierarchy there. But then with each other, then you see the togetherness in that. If you're only with each other, it's more like a passive companionship, right? So it's like there's this purpose, there's presence, there's function in relationship, there's healing together. So look at sentence 2 was about do this in remembrance of me. And the instruction there was cooperating in miracles. Remember, Jesus talked about cooperation. Do this in remembrance of me is the request for cooperation in miracle working. See? Now he's talking about, that was the instruction, cooperate, right? The request, you could say. And then here's the structure of it, the relational field where those miracles occur. We exist for and with each other in time. So a miracle isn't an event, it's just a natural expression of relationship structured by this thought for and with each other. That's just a miracle, is just a natural expression of a mind that's looking at relationship like that. So it's not saying this sentence, in time we exist for and with each other. It's not saying that's the final state. that the time level existence, that this is it, right? That's why sentence 6 lets us all know the true state. So relationships are more like maybe you can say a classroom, not your destination, not like that. The in time kind of relationships. They're not bad at all. He's not saying that. He's saying in time we exist for and with each other. We exist for each other as a means of returning to God. The for is more like the horizontal, and the with is the vertical. We go to God, we go together. You know, he's showing how time is useful, how it's purposeful. He's also revealing that it's temporary. He's saying in time, we exist for and with each other. So this is the bridge here. Existing for and with each other. So we were in earlier sentences talking about orders of reality. Now we're talking about human relationships. Right? Now there was an authority structure there where Jesus said, time is under my direction. And then he talks about shared life and time here. Not theoretical. So let's look at this movement that we've been experiencing throughout this paragraph. Sentence 1, revelation readiness. Right? Be of one mind. Sentence 2, cooperating in miracles. Sentence 3, distinction between time and timelessness. Sentence 4, the authority Jesus has. Time is under his direction. And now this is how life in time is. It's warm, relational, playful. If everything's reduced to this essence, you're not here to achieve awakening alone. You're not needed to perfect yourself in isolation. You're here to be with, to extend to, and to receive from others, including Jesus. And that's, something that we talk about in A Course in Miracles. Giving is receiving. Yeah. It's like you're just open to your brothers, all of your brothers in this way, to be with and to extend to. So you could see how this replaces spiritual striving to try to get somewhere with this relational awareness. Instead of, am I progressing? Am I getting to where I want to go? It's like, who's in front of me? How can I be with them? And in front of you could even be crossing your mind seemingly randomly. Whenever someone even crosses your mind, don't let them pass all the way through without receiving your blessing. See? So the purpose of time is not to improve yourself. Purpose of time is this shared awakening through our relationships. Okay, so in time, our mode is relational. It's relational. That's the mode we're in, relational. In timelessness, for and with is just a given. Who knows? Maybe it's just with. It just feels automatic. Just, what that is, what we're bringing through by seeing this way, it's really the way we're willing to see, by being willing to see one another, willing to see our circumstances in this way, we're bringing the quality of timelessness into time. That's what I see. Okay. So, sentence 5 is also, saying to me, for my interpretation of it, that for a while the dream might still seem to be happening. And while that's going on, we exist for and with each other. And then sentence 6 is just going to say what's true beyond. I don't mean just in that way. It's a really good to hear that as often as possible. What's true already beyond the dream. Okay, so now we have the function of time, the truth beyond time. We have the means, and we have the end. Sentence 5 gives us the means. This is the means to the end. Timelessness. This is the means to the end right here. In time, we exist for and with each other. What page are we on? We're on page 110, Wayne, my love. Yeah. All right. We are on paragraph 7, sentence 5, shifting into sentence 6. All right, sentence 6. Let's go to sentence 6. Unless you guys have any questions, I'm checking you out. So you could always write to me or otherwise, whatever works for you. All right. Sentence 6. In timelessness, we coexist with God. This is the last sentence of the paragraph. In timelessness, we coexist with God. So this is interesting because in the last sentence, we exist. In time, we exist for and with each other. In timelessness, we coexist with God. So this is interesting. So to recap, we had revelation readiness in sentence 1, miracle cooperation, to cooperate in miracles, right? It's kind of like an instruction. It was a request, right? The orders of reality were distinguished between time and timelessness. Jesus showed his authority over time, then described our life in time for and with each other. Now, all of that is pointing toward the end, which is timeless reality. That's not another instruction. It's not a task. It's actually, this is what's true. So the parallel here with sentence 5 seems to be deliberate. In time, we exist for and with each other. In timelessness, we coexist with God. They seem to be intentionally paired. Look at this movement, time, timelessness, exist, coexist with each other, with God. They're showing, these two sentences are showing two modes of being. 1, living within the dream. 2, being in reality. And this is why they're powerful together. Timelessness, it's not endless time. This is the first key point. Timelessness doesn't mean a very long time. It doesn't mean eternal continuation of sequences. It's not infinite future time. It's not timelessness. Timelessness means no sequence, no before, no after, no progression, no delay, no time structure. Timelessness, not time endlessness. So timelessness is outside of all framework of becoming something. It's outside of all process. It's outside of all learning, change, seeing things differently, let's say. This is referring to reality in heaven, direct knowledge, direct union with God. It's not this timelessness. In time, it could be seen as this is your future. Timelessness is your future. But it's not merely the future because there is no future really, but coming from time, it's your future. So it's not saying one day after spiritual effort, you're finally going to get there. It's saying something deeper than that. It's saying the reality of timelessness is the reality that already underlies this time experience. So it's not a destination like it looks like in time. It is your future destination from the sense of being in time. You see what I mean? It's also the present truth because it's beneath, you could say, all around the dream. So, sentence 6 is aspirational from this perspective that we have. In timelessness, we coexist with God. Oh, gosh, that sounds great. Wow. Wow. In timelessness, we coexist with God. Aspirational, but it's also revelatory because timelessness is always now. And here's the we remaining again. The sentence says, we coexist with God in timelessness. Not I coexist with God. He didn't say that. He didn't say that ourselves dissolve into nothing. He didn't say only God remains. He didn't say only God remains. Probably heard only love is true and God is love. I can see that that's how we coexist with God. See, the we preserves this sonship, the creation of God, of which Jesus is a part. So there's going to be, of course, no loss to what God created. What God created cannot suffer any loss. We'll get into that in the next paragraph. A major fear of having a miracle-minded perspective is losing something. So this sentence is describing this perfect union without erasing the self that God made, God's creation. That's you. So we coexist. Doesn't say we're merging or disappearing or becoming God again or dissolving into God. He's saying coexist. So that's some precise language. Coexist. It protects this union without confusion. Right? It's like there's this intimacy without loss of identity, the identity that you're created with. It's oneness. It's speaking of oneness without collapsing creation and creator into exactly the same thing. So there's this perfect union and a real distinction between the creator and the created, or you could say God and the Son. Not separation, but also not a total collapse of identity either. Okay, Durga. Okay, let's see what's happening here. People are talking to me. Wayne, okay, we took care of that. That's why there's no aging and no death in timelessness, in union with God. Yes, that's right. And time is reflecting our belief, right? Are we holding beliefs that reject the truth, that deny the truth and defend against it? That's what's going to cause the perception of aging and death and sickness and stuff like that in time. Again, as I always relate to you guys, none of this would be anything to be feeling bad over. None of it. It's not like that. It's constantly giving you opportunities. It's not, nothing is showing up to beat you down. It's constantly giving you opportunities. Yay. Okay, Durga said, is it possible for timelessness to weave into awareness while we seem to be experiencing time? Yes, that's what's going on right here. When we exist for and with each other, Jesus is like giving us the means right here. In time, we exist for and with each other. See? We went over that sentence very deeply. Yeah, check it out again. That's it. That's how it, let's say, timelessness gets expressed in time and proves that the limitations that we put upon ourselves are not even really there. See? So we get released from them, and timelessness ends up getting revealed in time until there is no need for time. The only reason time is needed in the first place is to reveal that we are actually in timelessness. Once it's done serving that function, there's no more. That doesn't go on anymore. Okay? I love you guys. Thank you for the questions, too. All right. Where are we now? We are still on the last sentence. Okay. In timelessness, we coexist with God. That's the sentence. So we don't have any conflict with God. It's saying basically to coexist with God means we do not have conflict with God. We don't have any distance from God. Yeah, see that? We coexist. That means there's no opposition. That means we are not in exile from God. That means there is no separate will against God. There's no will but God's. We coexist with God. We've believed in a separate will, which made it seem like we're separate from God. So we truly live, no matter what we perceive, in total accord with our source. Our being is not outside of His. We're not alien to God in any kind of way. It's a very intimate joining, coexistence, let's call it. It's a coexistence. I don't think there's a better word for it. So this is why the previous sentence about time matters so much. In time, we learn right relationship, right? We exist for and with each other. In timelessness, we know union directly with God. Sentence 5 at the end said with each other. Sentence 6 ends with God. So the time level relating that we do with one another points beyond itself. We are with each other in time so that the mind can remember. What is the mind remembering? That it's with God in timelessness, with each other, with God. So with each other is, you could say, the means for with God, which you cannot achieve. That's just given. So with God doesn't cancel out what it says in sentence 5 about what happens in time. We exist for and with each other. With God is the fulfillment of that. So sentence 6, again, in timelessness, we coexist with God. This is deeply relieving. See, now we don't have any progress, right? No achievement levels. There's nowhere to arrive. There's no hierarchy. There's no attainment. It's not like there's someone to get somewhere. It's saying nothing about earning anything. It's just describing what's true. In timelessness, we coexist with God. So it's not an accomplishment because it's already true. It's not a perfected self because it's already true. It's just being. It's not even transcendence. It's just being. That's what it is. In timelessness, we coexist with God. So this sentence, we went over this earlier about, the difference between miracle and revelation. That's what we went over a couple paragraphs back. So this sentence is in the order of revelation. Why is it in the order of revelation? Because miracles are what operate in time and correct perception. So that's in the miracle order, the time order. Remember, we went through that before. So this sentence, this last sentence, isn't correcting perception. It's just naming what's real beyond the perception. What corrects perception is miracles that operate in time. See that? So this sentence, it has this stillness of doing nothing, correcting nothing, becoming nothing. It's just truth. So this is a completion. Paragraph 7. Paragraph 7 says a lot. Again, it begins with be of one mind. This is the statement for revelation readiness. This is showing, now this sentence 6, it's showing the state toward which that readiness is pointing. It's the goal of be of one mind. When Jesus said be of one mind is the statement for revelation readiness. To be of one mind is fulfilled in coexistence with God. See that? He was talking about these two orders. Time and timelessness. So the mind doesn't manufacture timelessness. The mind manufactures time. In time, we need miracle correction. Clear this interference so that we can have the revelation. That's awareness of this timelessness. So sentence 6 of this paragraph is like the answer to sentence 1. Be of one mind. In timelessness, we coexist with God. And then when you hold 5 and 6 together, in time, we exist for and with each other. Without 6, in timelessness, we coexist with God. Sentence 5 could be heard as human relationship is the final goal. And gosh, a lot of people believe that. That's why there's this desire to return all the time and play out another lifetime. It's as if this is the goal. It is not the goal, it's the means. Relationship, human relationship, is the means. Togetherness in time. Right? But see, sentence 6 shows that sentence 5 is about time, how we exist for and with each other in time, right? It's not ultimate. Sentence 6 shows the ultimate. We exist for and with each other in time because the function of time is to restore awareness that we coexist with God in timelessness. So our time relationships, they're sacred, but they're not final. Notice how sentence 5, in time, right, feels warm and intimate, like we're companions with one another. And then the final sentence 6, is about timelessness. It's like stillness. There's this luminosity to it. It's a vast sentence. You're not alone in time, and you have never been separate from God. When you take those two sentences together, you're not alone in time, and you have never been separate from God. That's a summary of those two sentences. No strain here. It's not saying your body is going to coexist. It's not saying your personality survives. It's not, it's saying that time and timelessness are not equal realities. It's not saying you get to God through suffering either. And it's also eliminating the idea that you are becoming God himself. It's saying reality is already perfect union. It's heaven, you love it. The sonship, all brothers, including you and Jesus, are not outside of the source, the reality of perfect union. It is saying that timeless coexistence is the truth beyond this temporal perception. So this changes the use of time. This is something A Course in Miracles is big on, changing the use of time. Because when you're using time, you're seeing time as something to achieve our shared interest through being for and with each other, right? It's like if coexistence is already the truth, then time isn't punishment anymore. It's not like this exile. It's not like we're trying to prove separation anymore. Right? It seems like when people talk a lot of the times they're just trying to prove separation is true. I have to work, for instance. So time becomes something else when you're willing to look at it as what it's for, like a classroom or a healing device or the means, the means to this coexistence, this state of coexistence with God. A temporary setting, you could say. It's a temporary setting for remembering your coexistence with God. What else would it be for? Family members coexist as well. Yeah. Well, when the ego says coexist, the ego thinks of it in terms of helping each other get what you need in the world, right? And it's like, this is going much deeper than this. Of course, the getting what you need in the world, that's part of the play. It plays out the way it needs to. But this is going to a deeper level of existing for and with each other. You're actually seeing things different. You're willing to see things that arise in the world as a means for healing. That's what you see them as. You begin to see your brothers, all of your brothers, as bringers of truth for you. And gratitude extends all the time. This removes your desperation from practice, right? You're not trying to manufacture a better reality. What we're doing, it's more like allowing interference to just get undone. So look at this practical implication of the relationship too. If in timelessness we coexist with God, then every other brother is included in that too. So every encounter in time is with someone who appears separate here, and they may believe that they are. I got friends who believe that they're separate. They call it, I'm not evolved. But it's not separate in truth, right? It's just appearing to be separate. And a lot of them, most of them are believing they're separate. Even really like high level spiritual people, they're actually believing they're separate. And it's like we go into believing ourselves as separate, and that's where we have an opportunity to come to know again. Just come to know again. Oh, you believe you're separate? Come back to knowing again. What the fuck are you waiting for? Like as soon as you're aware that you believe you're separate, that's the opportunity to come back to know. But this believing you're separate and then buying into a story about that, and even telling other people your story so they can believe that about you. Oh yeah, that guy, he's just not evolved. Jeez. I know it looks like that. I know, but that's part of the fun. It's meant to look very real, right? That's just part of the fun. It's just a play. So sentence 6, it deepens the forgiveness, in my perception anyways, it deepens forgiveness for me because it's like in timelessness, we coexist with God. Like, I don't forgive because the form is lovely. Oh, I can learn to love that. No. But because they're already held, everything is already held in God beyond form. I don't give a fuck what anyone does or says or behaves or anything. They're held already in God beyond form. That's how my mind looks on the Son of God. It's not to pretend like the form is lovely. Say they're killing a person. That doesn't look good. Don't look good. Maybe they got like elephantitis or some shit. Their face is all blown out. The love does not change because God's love is beyond form. Right? So there's a contrast here too in these two sentences. We're talking about existence and coexistence. I mentioned that earlier. So we're existing for and with each other, and we coexist in God. Why coexist? Why are we just not just present in God or something? Why? Jesus uses words very intentionally. This is a way of saying our being is with God in a direct and total way. The word coexist shows that relational union. So in time, our function is relationship. In timelessness, our reality is union with God, coexistence. So the work of time is to restore our awareness to what it is that's beyond time, beyond the whole dream of sequence, struggle, separation. I've said before, going to the bathroom, that's also a thing in time. You don't do that kind of stuff in timelessness. Nothing stinks. Nothing needs to be cleaned or fed or get rest or anything like that. The sonship, this is our creation, lives with God in unbroken reality. So we're in time for and with each other. We coexist with God. They're not competing statements, obviously. The first is describing a function. The second one is the reality that that function serves. Don't you love serving reality? I know I do. All right. So I think we covered sentence 7 very well. Let's just look at the just a short final reflection that I have for this whole paragraph. Paragraph 7. It's like in miniature, the entire A Course in Miracles. Okay. There's something that seems to be divided, be of one mind, right? There are 2 orders, 2 levels, 2 injunctions that are not the same. Right? It's got time and timelessness. There's very precise teaching on that. It assigns authority to Jesus. It describes what life looks like as on each level, time and timelessness. And then it ends with a statement that's just eternally true. In timelessness, we coexist with God. That's the destination. That's the truth already. So it's the destination and the truth beneath the dream. And that is what the miracle is for. That's what he means, Jesus means when he's saying, do this in remembrance of me. He's saying, do miracles. And this is what being of one mind points toward. Wasn't that such a fun paragraph? I loved it so much. I hope you guys had a great time with it too. Yay. Ah, aloha, aloha. Okay, now we're going to be moving on to a new section. We're still in chapter 3. We're now in part 3 of chapter 3. And let me see, for you page number friends, we are on page 110. No, we moved on. We're on page 111 now. And the section is titled Atonement Without Sacrifice. What a joy! Atonement without sacrifice. Woo! So, this, just the title, this is aiming at removing something from people that most of them don't even realize they believe. So listen up. Listen up. Most people do not realize they believe this, that healing requires loss. Okay? What do you think atonement requires? Just look for a moment. What do you think again, what is atonement? It's recognizing that the separation never happened. Okay? That's the atonement. What do you think that requires of you? Just ask gently. Okay, you might have seen some kind of effort, right? Effort might be number 1. Some suffering, you have to give something up. Right? You have to pay for some mistakes, maybe. So this is atonement without sacrifice. That's what this next section is all about. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see what those thoughts are that are veiling the light of truth, making it seem like sacrifice is required or that it's going to get us anywhere. Gosh. Oh, you know, I'd like to just put it this way, so I will. If there is sacrifice, it's not atonement. If there is any sacrifice, that's not atonement. So you may still believe that God asks something of you, that healing is going to cost you something, that true love requires suffering, or that to grow, you got to lose something. But in truth, nothing real can ever be lost. So nothing needs to be sacrificed. Nothing real needs to be sacrificed. What would be sacrificed? Illusions. You only think you're giving something up, but actually you're giving up nothingness, what Jesus has called emptiness. Notice where you feel like becoming whole would cost you something that you would want to keep. So atonement, as you think of it, but without the way you would likely believe it requires you to be. So without sacrifice is undoing the part that's misperceived about atonement. And, when the mind typically hears atonement in the first place, it thinks of fixing what it's been doing wrong. It thinks of making up for something. Right? It thinks of becoming worthy or restoring relationship, even restoring your relationship with God. There's a lot of hidden assumptions inside this word atonement. It's like I did something wrong. It caused real damage. For instance, I caused someone's pain or they caused mine. Something must be repaired. The idea that something must be repaired, that's an atonement assumption. It's a misperceived way of looking at atonement. The idea that there's any kind of cost. It's a scarcity and guilty structure that's being perceived through. It's like you're perceiving through this veil of scarcity and guilt. So this is without sacrifice. Removes all cost, all payment, all loss, all suffering, all exchange, all earning, without sacrifice. And this section is we're gonna encounter, crucifixion, what that meant, and suffering and punishment and karmic and moral debt. So this is a reversal of a core distortion that people make, the belief that God requires suffering. That's what's being corrected here. So the title is already saying everything you've associated with divine sacrifice is wrong. So sacrifice is basically believing that someone good must suffer, believing that loss has some kind of value, that pain produces something. Self-sacrifice, martyrdom. I had a friend tell me just this week, she's like, I must have chosen a really complicated path for myself because, or challenging was the word she used, because I chose to devote myself to this particular partner This must be the most beneficial. I'm like, yes, it's the most beneficial right now. And it's showing you if there's something you don't like about the dynamic, you can have the thought that's making you stay in that dynamic corrected. In this case, it was the thought that she needs something complicated or that's challenging. It's like anything that comes like that is because you thought you needed it, not because you needed it without thinking you needed it. What made you need it? You thought you needed it. You believed in that thought. So she was like, oh shit. She laughed. She was like, oh, I don't need to be believing that. That's right. No need. Okay. This hurts me more than it hurts you. Remember, we used to get those spankings from our parents. They'd be like busting our ass with a belt, making all kinds of welts and bruises and shit. They're like, this hurts me more than it hurts you. It's amazing how much consciousness seems to have evolved since then. That wasn't that long ago, apparently. Any kind of spiritualized suffering. This title just removes all of that. So if the atonement is without sacrifice, then that means God never asked for any sacrifice or suffering. That means Jesus wasn't punished. We're going to get to that too. That means nothing, there's no penance to be paid. There's nothing to be paid for. That's just not real. Nothing real can ever be harmed. Nothing real can ever suffer. So what leads to atonement, it's not a transaction that you do with God. It's a recognition. Okay, it's the reversal of cause and effect. The traditional model is sin and then sacrifice and then redeem yourself somehow. You flog yourself in some of them. In ACIM, just with this title alone, error, correction, recognition. See the difference? Sin, sacrifice, redemption. Error, correction, recognition. No cost, no losing anything, no suffering required. So why is this so hard to accept? Because the mind is invested in its sacrifice as if it's meaning, as if it means something. Oh, I've sacrificed this. Look how much I've sacrificed. Now I'm good. Okay, there's identity around this. Proof of love. How much have you sacrificed for me, though? I mean, uh, we'll see in the section where people don't want to give it up because it has escape value. What fun. So the title is already threatening to the ego. It's threatening the ego's currency. Basically, you have these payments that are due and its whole logic and story. So we just established this in the last three sentences. You're not responsible for time. You exist with others in purpose, and you already coexist with God. So nothing's broken, nothing needs to be paid for. And that's why it just leads so nicely into this atonement without sacrifice. So if you can press this down, healing requires no loss because nothing real has been damaged. God isn't asking anyone to give something up in order to be whole because your wholeness hasn't been reduced in the first place. You've always been whole. It never changes. Unchanging truth is your wholeness. Yay. Let's get to the first paragraph of the first paragraph of section 3, chapter 3, sentence number 1, paragraph 1. There is one more point which must be perfectly clear before any residual fear which you may still associate with miracles becomes entirely groundless. So he's talking about getting one point clear, one more point. It seems like it's the last one, which must be perfectly clear before residual fear. So he wants to make this residual fear groundless in you with one more point. See that? This is a new teaching now, it looks like. The first sentence of a new section. It's saying we're about to enter into material that cannot be received correctly unless fear of miracles is undone completely. So, right mindedness, cooperation, relationship in time, coexistence with God in timelessness. That's already a high level teaching we just got done with in paragraph 7. Now he's saying before we go any further, something must be clarified completely. Why is that? Could it be because what's coming next is going to challenge a deeply rooted belief in us? And the title tells us what that belief is. The title is Atonement Without Sacrifice. So the one more point is directly tied to belief that the atonement requires sacrifice. That belief, and he's saying that belief is the source of the residual fear of miracles. That's why it has to be clear. So there's one more point. That means something essential is remaining, which must be perfectly clear. So no partial understanding is going to work. Are you guys paying attention? No partial understanding here. And he's saying before any residual fear, like fear is still present, even if it's subtly present, which you may still associate with miracles. So the fear is linked specifically to miracles. And until that fear becomes entirely groundless, that's the goal of the total removal from this fear, of this fear. So the implication here that miracles are still feared. This is even for advanced students. I take it as being speaking to me too. Not obviously, but subtly. Subtly. See, it means you can teach miracles, you can practice forgiveness, you can understand A Course in Miracles, and still feel hesitation about letting miracles just lead. So, what is the remaining misunderstanding? Given the section title, we can already see if I accept the atonement, this misunderstanding must be that if I accept the atonement, something will be taken from me. That might be identity, that might be relationships, that might be control, it might be pleasure, it might be individuality, it might be specialness. So miracles, they feel like they might cost something. Why does that create fear of miracles? Because miracles undo illusion. They totally rearrange your perception. They dissolve these false ideas that you have. So if you're believing that illusions are valuable, like they help you heal or something, right? You want to keep them because they help you heal, right? That's the fear of the miracle. The core fear, the deepest level, that is, if I fully accept God's correction, I will lose something real. That is the core fear, which is the same as believing sacrifice is real. So this sentence is preparing for Jesus's complete dismantling of the belief in sacrifice. And he's talking about perfect clarity in this sentence. I love this sentence. So fun. There is one more point which must be perfectly clear before any residual fear which you may still associate with miracles becomes entirely groundless. Perfectly clear, he says. So miracles will be partially resisted if this isn't perfectly clear, that fear is groundless, fear of miracles. Your guidance will be negotiated with. You'll negotiate with your guidance. You'll feel love in a way that's conditional, right? Your forgiveness will have limits. Oh, I can't go all the way. Oh, no, I'm not forgiving that one. And forgiveness a lot of times looks like forgiveness for a thought that you do not want. You do not want to keep that thought. For instance, I have to anything. Okay? Just a for instance there. That's forgiveness. Really, it's that simple. So, what does entirely groundless point to? He's talking about fear having zero validity in your mind. He wants to make it entirely groundless. So you're aware that nothing real is even at risk. You're aware that nothing true can be lost. But you're aware that by being in miracle mindedness, you can rest assured that everything that's coming is the perfect means. So the coming teaching is going to show how atonement doesn't require you to give anything up that has any real value. All you're giving up is illusions. You're giving up interpretations that you've made of things you think you see that are not there. All right. Okay. So this sentence is a setup for another correction. If you believe sacrifice is required, then you believe God is asking for loss. God is demanding some kind of payment from you. Jesus wants to correct that. That God's requiring suffering of you or wants you to trade something for something. No, what you think you have is nothing. That's why there's a false image of God who wants to take something from you because you've made nothing into your everything. So, what's about to be corrected isn't just your understanding of miracles, but your concept of God Himself. The only reason miracles feel unsafe is because the mind still believes it's going to require a loss. Like, for instance, you can look at it like this. I was sharing with a friend on Wisdom Dialogues this week. You know, you may get the thought that you have to go to work to earn money. And it seems like that's what's going on. And you watch yourself playing it out day in and day out. But when you'll just recognize that thought that says I have to go to work and earn money is actually a meaningless and baseless thought in reality. I don't like it. I'm not going to keep it. I'm not going to keep holding it up. Right? When seen this way over time, that thought loses any kind of meaning. But when it's resisted, when it's like I got to stop working and people try to just like hide from it. No, no, when you find yourself when that thought completely uh is integrated in your mind and you live in that way, you're not resisting anything. You're not resisting working or anything. You just don't have a belief that says you need to earn anything. You're just being. See? It's a matter of extending this forgiveness all the time and including, of course, what this section's been about, your brother, for and with each other. I mean, a lot of the times when there seems to be a negotiation with a thought, I don't want to surrender, my mind goes to being for and with my brothers, and it's like I'll do it for I find myself doing it for them. Right? I really, it's that kind of giving is receiving instantly because I'm the one getting the relief from it right there. So The tone of this sentence, it kind of feels like you're almost there. There's just one more misunderstanding to release. Well, that's great. That sounds easy. So let's see how this ties back to what we've just seen, or what we've been going over lately. So we've removed evaluation from perception. This does not matter. None of it matters, right? We've seen that forgiveness is really just correction of misthought. There's not any judgment about it, it's just correction of misthought. Miracles, shift in perception, right? It establishes that you dream a dream and none of its content is true. But now the final block is not misunderstanding the process, but mistrusting the outcome of doing the process, right? What is doing the process again? Being for, existing for and with each other, extending miracles, seeing the holiness that everyone was created with, seeing past the illusions and to the holiness that everyone is. So this opening line is telling us that fear of miracles has only one more cause, one remaining cause. We've been over the other things. This belief that something real will be lost. So this section is going to dismantle that completely by showing us, it's going to show us atonement requires no sacrifice whatsoever. And you may hear that and go, I already believe that. Still, there's subtle beliefs that are being corrected here. So if this resonates for you, keep paying attention. And let's go on to sentence 2. Yay. Yeah. Sentence 2, paragraph 1, section 3, chapter 3, page 111, 111, I believe. Yep, that's it. The crucifixion did not establish the atonement. The resurrection did. Okay, this sentence is central. It's undoing the belief that salvation requires sacrifice. That's what it's doing. It's like the crucifixion did not establish the atonement, right? The crucifixion, a bunch of suffering, apparently. The resurrection did. So this is exactly what the first sentence said had to be cleared. We're all programmed with this, the crucifixion thing. It's in all programming, in worldly programming, schooling, the way our parents were taught to think. The idea that salvation requires sacrifice. So this is what he's trying to clear here. This sentence, that's the one more point he was talking about in the last sentence, the one more point. Notice how sharp this is. Did and did not. The crucifixion did not establish the atonement. The resurrection did. There's no gray area about it. He's totally reversing conventional belief right here. The crucifixion did not establish the atonement. That directly contradicts traditional belief. What are the traditional beliefs that you hear all the time? Jesus paid for sins. He paid for our sins, apparently. His suffering redeemed humanity. See the teaching? His sacrifice was required for salvation. God required a death. Wow. No wonder that shit never resonated for a lot of you. That makes no sense. For me, when I was raised as a Christian missionary and I heard that kind of shit, I just kind of like passed it right by. I didn't really understand it, so I was like, I like the Jesus that's like really kind and calm, and he just comes and sits with me and he hangs out with me and he talks to me. All right, we don't need to get into all that stuff. I didn't know, I just kind of like didn't care, didn't get into it. Anyway, she's just saying that is like not true. It's actually the opposite of what's true with his did and did nots in this sentence. So, in A Course in Miracles, the crucifixion represents the ego's attack thought being made manifest. It's a projection of guilt onto the body. That's what crucifixion represents. It's the belief that destruction is a reality. You can really destroy, right? It's the belief that harm has actual effects. That's the crucifixion. It's a symbol. The crucifixion is a symbol of what the ego believes is powerful. The ego makes this into a powerful ego or a powerful event, the crucifixion. But here's why the crucifixion could not have established the atonement. It would have been impossible. Okay, because the atonement is undoing of separation. And the crucifixion represents the belief in separation, right? Total belief in separation, attack, death, blood everywhere, right? So it can't establish truth because it's already symbolizing an error. This is already a symbol of an error. It's full of attack, it's murder. If the crucifixion established the atonement, which is common belief, that would mean that suffering has some kind of value. It has no value. Oh, if I do enough suffering, I might get, no, it won't happen. Attack is never going to produce salvation for you. Death is never going to be meaningful. And loss is never going to be required of you. That would all make sacrifice real, wouldn't it? And this whole section is called Atonement Without Sacrifice. This is exactly what this section is undoing, this idea that we must atone with sacrifice. And he's saying it's subtly, maybe subtly there. The resurrection did. That's the correction. Not suffering, demonstration of truth. That's what established the atonement. And that's what continues to establish the atonement. Okay. Or you can say, work within the establishment, probably a better way to say it because it's already established. He said it did. So it's like you can say you support it, you work within it. So the resurrection in A Course in Miracles symbolizes the unreality of death. It symbolizes invulnerability of the Son of God and continuity of life beyond form. See that symbol? Truth cannot be destroyed. That's what it's symbolizing. You can't destroy the truth. Look, I'm fucking alive. Look, I'm still projecting some holes in my hand just for fun. I don't know if that's the case. So it's not about a body coming back. It's proof that nothing real was ever harmed. So the resurrection establishes the atonement because the atonement is the recognition that separation never occurred. And the resurrection demonstrates that. See? The atonement is recognition that the separation never occurred. Resurrection demonstrates real loss cannot have occurred. Real harm cannot have occurred. Real death could not have occurred. So, okay, it proves, resurrection proves that the illusion of separation is a total lie. So the traditional belief is that suffering saves. Jesus is saying truth saves. Traditional belief is that death redeems our soul, right? You're going to go to heaven when you die. There's even songs about it. Songs. It's funny how songs come to my mind. I'm like, whoa, that's the conditioning. It's conditioning us to feel a certain way and think a certain way. These songs are so wild. Anyways, I'll save that for wisdom dialogues. So, Jesus would say life is unchanged. Traditional belief is that death redeems. Jesus is saying life is unchanged. You can't change it. Traditional belief is that sacrifice is required. So a lot of people feel saved because Jesus sacrificed. See that? But what Jesus is saying through ACIM is that nothing real can be threatened. So the fear in sentence one is if I accept miracles, I might lose something. So this sentence two, is answering that directly. Nothing real has ever been lost, and nothing real ever can be lost. The crucifixion did not establish the atonement, the resurrection did. Atonement was established by resurrection, which is life, not by crucifixion, which is loss. So if you believe this, the crucifixion saved you, like because of someone's suffering, you're saved. And probably a lot of your family members do, or people that you know, if you don't. So, let this be a way that you could see more compassionately. If you believe the crucifixion saved you, then you're unconsciously valuing suffering. You'll tolerate pain as if it's meaningful. You'll tolerate it. That's different than using the perception, right? You may repeat patterns of sacrifice. Here I go sacrificing again. And you may believe that love requires you to give something up. If you understand the resurrection established the atonement, not the crucifixion, then you're recognizing that nothing real can ever be harmed. You stop valuing suffering. You stop expecting loss to happen, recognizing that everything's a blessing. You trust complete healing. This sentence also reframes Jesus totally, doesn't it? Now he's not a victim. He's not being a sacrifice for us. It's not some payment. He's a teacher. He's a teacher demonstrating that death has no power. That's the resurrection. So the ego says you are saved because something terrible and grotesque happened to someone. And Jesus saying you are saved because nothing ever happened to you. When you're recognizing that all happenings do not matter, they're outcome irrelevant. Your mind perceives through outcome irrelevance. Forgiveness is automatic. It keeps correcting perception. And miracles shift your mind. They establish that you're dreaming a dream. Again, you're coming to know that none of it's true. None of it has ever been threatened. So the crucifixion shows what the ego believes, and the resurrection shows what is actually true. Atonement is really established by truth. Jesus established it. He did not establish it by suffering. All right. So if you guys don't have any questions, then We're moving on. Yeah. Everyone looks good. Thank you for joining, sweeties. I love you. All right. Chapter 3, Section 3, Paragraph 1, Sentence 3. I believe we are still on page 111. Yes, we are. Sentence 3. This is a point which many very sincere Christians have misunderstood. Huh, yeah, okay. So, last sentence, sentence 2, he just overturned like the core foundation of Christianity. The crucifixion did not establish the atonement. Okay, that's huge. So this next sentence is doing two things at once. It's acknowledging the misunderstanding. And look what else it's doing. It's protecting the sincerity of those who misunderstand. See? He says, this is a point. This is a point which many very sincere Christians have misunderstood. This is a point. So this is referring directly to the belief that the crucifixion established the atonement instead of the resurrection. We just went over that. So the misunderstanding is very precise. It's not like general confusion. It's not like lack of devotion. But he's saying this is a misinterpretation of the meaning of salvation. He's saying many very sincere Christians. This is important. He's not saying misguided. He's not saying they're wrong, blind, egoic. He's saying very sincere, meaning that their devotion is real. Their love is real. Their desire for God is real. There's no attack in this whatsoever. So, what does sincerity mean in ACIM terms? Well, apparently it means willingness. So these people who are sincere, very sincere, as Jesus puts it, truly want the truth. They truly want God. They truly want to love. But sincerity does not guarantee clarity. That's the issue. Being sincere is one thing, right? Being clear with sincerity, that's the key. Okay, he's saying they have misunderstood. And here's the correction. They're not lacking devotion. Ooh, wait a second. I must not be on Do Not Disturb. Someone's trying to call me. All my boyfriends. Wait, Do Not Disturb is on. How did that even get through? It's hilarious. All right, whatever. Okay. They have misunderstood. So they're not lacking devotion. They're misunderstanding. And the misunderstanding isn't small. The misunderstanding is confusing suffering with salvation. See? See that? In looking around at all your Christian friends, or if you've been a Christian before, confusing suffering with salvation. And what exactly has been misunderstood? The misunderstanding, thinking Jesus' death caused salvation. Thinking suffering has some kind of redemptive value. Thinking God requires or required sacrifice. And thinking pain is part of healing. People think they're healing their bodies when their bodies get sick. They call it detoxification, right? And your body is 100% projected mentally. What would there be to do something like that? There's just these beliefs that are just like hardwired, but subtle and also kind of like secret. This is helping us to see. In short, it's just believing sacrifice is real and necessary. That's a Christian thing, Catholic thing. Maybe other religions too. Why does this matter so much? Because if this misunderstanding remains, suffering is going to be valued and therefore it's going to repeat. Sacrifice will seem like something holy, doesn't it? Yeah. Pain will be interpreted as something meaningful, and love will be linked to loss. So that keeps the mind afraid of miracles. So even outside of this religion, though, this belief shows up as I have to give up something to receive love, right? Growth requires some kind of pain. I have to lose to gain. Love costs me something. It's not just about Christianity, it's a universal ego belief that gain requires loss. Jesus isn't even rejecting Christianity here. Look at his tone. He's not even saying they're wrong, he's saying they're misguided. He's not even saying they're misguided. He's just saying they're, what does he say exactly? Let's go back to that. Misunderstood. Yes, he's saying they have misunderstood an important point. Uh, this is a point which many and this, I'm saying that it's an important point because in the first sentence, he's saying there is one more point which must be perfectly clear before any residual fear which you may still associate with miracles becomes entirely groundless. He's saying a key idea within the tradition of Christianity has been misinterpreted. And that misinterpretation has consequences. That's why he's talking about it. I love how he's showing respect, he's for the sincerity of Christians. And then he's completely correcting the error. This is style. No attack on the person, just undoing a belief. So sentence 2 said the crucifixion did not establish the atonement, the resurrection did. Sentence 3 says many sincere people reversed that. They thought the crucifixion established the atonement, and the resurrection did not. So he stated the truth in sentence 2, and then he acknowledged a misunderstanding of Christians specifically in sentence 3, but it's not only by Christians. So the problem was never devotion, the problem was just in the interpretation. They misunderstood. So it means, like, if you are a Christian and you're listening to this, or you do notice this belief, you don't have to question your sincerity. You don't have to really change your devotion. You just recognize, oh shit, I thought that it was the crucifixion, it was the resurrection. Ah, nothing's ever threatened. Yes, I could live like that. I could live in the resurrection rather than the crucifixion. You don't have to undo your love for Jesus that you've learned through being a Christian. This is just a matter of allowing correction. Really simple, really profound correction. So this sentence is just preparing our mind to accept God doesn't require sacrifice and never has. Because if sincere people misunderstood, then the belief can be released without any kind of guilt or payment, right? If very sincere people just misunderstood something, then the belief can be released from these people without guilt or payment. And these people, you can also see how your mind is programmed toward exactly what Jesus is talking about, as if sacrifice is required. Everyone lives like that. It's so funny. It's so funny. In some circles, it's like people get the sense that you don't want them making a lot of money. You should show your sacrifice. Really, I barely make any money off this. I'm barely scraping by. Just like, it's like everywhere. It's like as if. Oh, I've had such a shitty night. Oh yeah, me too, or whatever. It's like, whew, shut it down. The Babylonian thinking. You don't even have to shut off Babylon, just your own Babylonian thinking. So, sincerity does not protect against misunderstanding. It's definitely great to have. Great. It just doesn't protect against misunderstanding. You still need to understand that the atonement isn't established on sacrifice. Otherwise, you're going to act and live as if that's true because it's the general conditioning. See that? And we can also see how misunderstanding can be gently corrected without attacking anyone's sincerity. Many have loved God deeply and still misunderstood. And that correction is not rejecting their love, like their love is wrong. It's just, it's fulfilling, really fulfilling their love. So if you've been loving God and believing in the crucifixion as what is the atonement or what established the atonement, and you let that be changed, that's the fulfillment of all your love that you've been giving toward God. Nothing's wrong. Yay. All my sweet peeps doing well. I'm checking on you guys to see if you have any questions or want to talk to me or anything. Looks like you're doing good. Back to the text. So now we're on sentence 4 of chapter 3, section 3, paragraph 1, page 111. 111. Nobody who was free of the scarcity fallacy could possibly have made this mistake. And that mistake is as if the uh, uh, the crucifixion established the atonement, right? And look at the title too, right? Atonement without sacrifice. Nobody who was free of the scarcity fallacy could possibly have made this mistake. And then there's a footnote. Footnote 23. The, quote, scarcity fallacy, unquote, is the belief in an inner lack, which then sparks driven behavior in order to fill emptiness. In this case, as Jesus clarifies later in regard to Edgar Casey, see cameo 15, the belief in a lack of worth leads one to believe in a need to sacrifice as a way to fill that lack. So Jesus is saying nobody who is free of the scarcity fallacy is belief in inner lack, and that sparks driven behavior in order to fill the emptiness. No one who was free of scarcity fallacy could possibly have been confused to think that the atonement was established by crucifixion, that salvation requires sacrifice, suffering, anything like that. So this is explaining why the misunderstanding he was talking about, Jesus was talking about in sentence 3 occurred. Why sincere Christians believe the crucifixion established the atonement. This is why. This is the why. He says nobody who was free of the scarcity fallacy could possibly have made this mistake. Scarcity fallacy, again, is belief in inner lack. If you didn't believe in inner lack, you would never make this kind of mistake by believing that someone's suffering saves someone else. So, what is this mistake in the sentence? We can see that he says, nobody who was free of the scarcity fallacy could possibly have made this mistake. This is the believing that the sacrifice is what saves instead of recognizing the truth that the resurrection is salvation. that is proof of salvation. So the root cause here, what he's saying, is the scarcity fallacy. And from the footnote, we could see belief in inner lack drives behavior, leads to belief in sacrifice. This is the ego's structure. So here's the mechanism. Here's what it looks like. Something is missing in me. That's the inner tension. Something is missing in me. I need to feel that. That drives action. I must give something to get something. That introduces sacrifice. See, most people don't understand the kind of giving that's giving and receiving. Because of the crucifixion error. It's because of or something similar if you're from a different religion. Probably all the religions have it. I don't know. If the mind believes, though, that lack is real, I know this, then it'll also believe that guilt has to be paid for, that there must be some kind of compensation, that loss would restore balance. So the mind concludes that Jesus' suffering saved us. And now Jesus is saying in this sentence that this error itself, this idea that Jesus' suffering saved us, would be impossible without scarcity fallacy. Nobody who was free of the scarcity fallacy is what he said. So it means if the mind knew it was whole, if it knew nothing was missing or lacking, then the idea of sacrifice wouldn't even occur to it. Scarcity fallacy, you can also say that's a belief in separation, because only a separate self can be lacking, needing to acquire anything, believing that there's something to exchange, like it has something to exchange. Nothing's been lost ever. So nothing needs to be restored through sacrifice either. And here's why that matters for miracles, at being a miracle worker. If you believe in scarcity, then miracles are going to feel like they cost something. Healing's going to feel like you're going to have to lose something, and correction would feel threatening rather than relieving. But if scarcity is false, then miracles are only going to restore your awareness. You're going to know they don't take anything that's real away from you. They only take the unreal. Miracles are always a blessing. I always want the miracle. I don't want anything else. See? It restores that awareness to your mind. When you see that scarcity is false, there's nothing you can lose. So you can see the scarcity fallacy whenever there's overgiving, when you perceive yourself overgiving. You'll know when you've done it to yourself, when you believe someone didn't give enough in return to you. That's the overgiving showing itself. Trying to earn your worth, or you're afraid that you could lose something valuable. Believing that you're going to have greater peace if you give something up. So belief in sacrifice comes from belief in lack. And without the belief in lack, sacrifice is inconceivable. That's why Jesus says it like this. He's going, nobody who was free of the scarcity fallacy could possibly have made this mistake. This mistake is the idea that the crucifixion established the atonement, or suffering can save somehow. So the misunderstanding of the crucifixion, that wasn't a failure of devotion. It was the result of believing something was missing. See what he's saying? Scarcity fallacy. From that belief, sacrifice seemed like it was necessary. It would naturally follow. Without sacrifice, it would be impossible to get to God in their way of thinking, in that way of thinking. But if you didn't have that sacrifice scarcity fallacy running in your mind, it would be impossible to believe God requires anything at all. Anything, much less sacrifice. There's no requirement. God does not have a requirement of you. So, yay, paragraph 1. We finished paragraph 1. Let's just distill it down a little bit. So, we've identified, Jesus has identified for us, we've identified whatever. Final block to miracles, residual fear. The core misunderstanding has been corrected. Atonement was established by the resurrection. Atonement was established by the resurrection, not the crucifixion. We revealed the root cause of this misunderstanding, the scarcity fallacy, the belief in inner lack, the belief in sacrifice. So, fear of miracles comes from belief that something will be lost. And that belief comes from the idea that something is already missing. If nothing is missing, nothing needs to be sacrificed. And miracles are completely safe. So, where he's talking about the fear becoming entirely groundless, this is what he's doing here. He's showing you nothing is missing. If you knew that nothing was missing, you'd automatically know nothing needs to be sacrificed. And you'd feel completely safe doing miracles, performing miracles, being with and for one another while while coexisting with God. Wasn't that so fun? I sure had fun, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you. I will be back on Sunday. I said Monday before. It's not Monday, it's Sunday. Sunday from 3 to 5. I will have a wisdom dialogues, and I would love it if you join me. And thank you for your donations. A couple of you set up subscriptions to donate to me. Thank you so much. That really helps. I appreciate it, and I love doing this study. I love doing this work. Um, Yay. My website is hopejohnson.org. For those of you who would still like to do a one-time donation or set up on a subscription donation, that's hopejohnson.org. You can also book one-to-ones with me there, and you can get my book too. I wrote a book. Um, it's called Unschooling for Parents. It's kind of a parenting book, but it is really deep parenting book. I was going through some deep transformations at that time. Okay. Yay. Wow, this really hit home today. Yay. Thank you. During meditation, I had a great insight that I seemed to use illness to both excuse and explain why I wasn't good and why I deserved punishment. Yeah, I'm so happy about that. Congratulations. And Sandy is okay. You want to share this replay? Okay, reach out to me because I think I can just share these replays with you. I know you want them. I can just share them with you directly where they're recorded on Buzzsprout. Okay, reach out to me in a Facebook or something like that. Yay! I love you. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Hooray, Glenn. Until next time, mahalo, aloha, and a hui ho. Yeah. Yes.